Okay, so on 26, like changing topics now, right? I want to do an overview of what you should know by now. And this is like a study sheet entry, if you ask me, on page 26, right? This is summary of probability and odds. Summary of probability and odds. And so obviously you have odds in favor and against here. This box is still a good review. Odds in favor, you're thinking number of favorable and not favorable, or you can think of for and against. But what is one thing that the odds will never have in it? What should you never see in odds? Do you remember? Probability? Okay, I get it. You're not living math, right? You're like, write down your notes, you go home, come back. I get it. Probability is always what? Number of favorable over total, right? In odds, you should never have the total possible ever show up. Both of these together, if you add up the left and the right, you get your total out of that, but you should never have the total in any one of them individually. Okay, so that's one thing to remember. So here's your review. Okay, if you want to go from probability to odds, there will be some sort of subtraction happening. Okay, so here's what I mean by that. If I say that the probability of snow is 1 out of 5, and so the province says, hey, the probability of it snowing today is 1 out of 5. What are the odds of snowing? You will go 1 to what? Well, I'll go on this side. 4. 1 to 4. Because how do you get this? You went 5 minus 1 to get that 4. That's what I mean with subtraction. So what does the 1 represent? It represents the occasions that it will snow. And what does the 4 represent? Not snow. Okay? Snow with a little bar on top, or snow with a little tick. Both of them indicate it not happening. Okay, so that's how you go. So from probability to that is the same. I will give you one more because the province loves to go from percent to odds. Okay, so if it's the probability of a joke, Mr. Dirksen telling you a joke is 0.9 or 90%. What are the odds of Mr. Dirksen telling you a joke? I would like to suggest to you to turn your percentage into, like, go arrow here. Let's turn that into a fraction. What is it? 90 out of 100? Yeah. 9 out of 10? Yeah, that would also work. Absolutely. And so if I asked you to turn that into odds, you would go 90 to, what goes on the other side? 10. Not 100. That temptation, I want you to not do that, right? So a lot of students go, oh, 90, and then 100, and I'm done. It's not true. There should be 10, but they add up to 100, right? So you went 100 minus the 90 to get that one, right? Joke, me not telling a joke, right? So out of 100 days, 90 of those days you'll get a joke, 10 days you will not get a joke, right? So yesterday you didn't get one, okay? So that's probability to odds. There's a subtraction happening there, right? So I will highlight that. Like if you're wondering where does that come from, right? It's the negative here. Right, the top, you take the top away from the bottom to get that other side. Two, yeah. Four, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. This is like a box. This is a concept. Okay, so then I'm cutting this. I'm going to cut this here. On your study sheet, you probably don't need the second example, but maybe you do. I don't know how much space you have. Okay, so now we're going from odds. What if they go from odds to probability? You will think of addition. Okay, you will have to add. At some point, you'll have to add. And so, I'll give you an example here. Odds. The thing is, okay, I can't just say odds. I have to say odds for or against, right? Every time. So let's say it's odds for, let's stay with snow for now. For snow or of snow, it's probably more common to say the odds of it snowing. But let's say it is 3 to 5. And I ask you, what's the probability of that happening? So the temptation is for students to do this. They always just want to stack those numbers. That is wrong. The first thing I want you to do is, I want you to add these up. So I'm going to erase, sorry about that. If you already wrote this down, it doesn't hurt. But I'm just going to show you that you're going to add these two to get your total. So that's 3 over 8. Is it, what would you say, is it very likely for it to snow? Is it more likely than not for it to snow based on that? It's less than, so I always want you to think of probability as 0 is impossible, 100% is certain, and then 50% would be fair. Like the Weather Network will never put 50% chance of rain, because then they're like, people are like, what do we need you for? I'm just going to toss a coin and find out if it's going to rain or not, right? They're always going to go 60 or 40. So anything in here is less likely. Sorry, I didn't think this through, okay? But if you want me to zoom in, I can zoom into that. And focus, right? Anything in here is less likely, and anything is more likely. Right? So that's how you should envision probability. So in my opinion, it's really hard to determine whether or not someone will win the Stanley Cup just by the odds. I would want to turn that into a probability. Let's turn 3 over 8 into a percentage. 3 divided by 8 times 100. So that's 37.5%, right? It's less likely for it to snow based on our data here. Let's do one more here. What about 30? Of winning would be 30 to 101. The first thing I want you to do is add these up. Okay, that's 131. I think you should be able to see that clearly on your example there. And then just to reiterate, If it says odds of winning, we know that the first number represents winning and the second number represents not winning, like the opposite. So this should be 30 up here, right? That's another thing. Your probability should never be more than 100%. If you have that, it's wrong. You made a mistake. They've also asked students, hey, what's wrong with this answer? Like so-and-so got this answer. What's wrong with it? It's over 100%, right? Anyways, so that's that. Okay, one more. The last piece that you need to, I would consider this the very bare minimum of what you need to know for this unit. It's not everything, but it's a pretty good, you will have a pretty good idea. If you're ever asked to go from odds to odds, what do I mean by that? If it says odds, 4, let's say it says odds for, you fill in the blank, it says 5 to 17. What are the odds against? It's the exact opposite. That's all I want you to do, just flip. So I will just say flip. Please do not add anything. Please do not subtract anything. When you're going from odds, like if you know what the odds are, and they ask you to state the opposite. So if it's 4, you go to against, all you have to do is flip the numbers. That's all that is required. If it said odds against, what are the odds in favor? Flip. So just flip when you go from odds to odds. Got it? But no subtracting here, right? You just flip it. The 17 what used to be second, now it's first. The 5 used to be there, now it's second, right? So those are your 3 scenarios, most common scenarios. I feel like I'm gonna ask you to add one more thing at the top. I have room at the top corner. You make a box anywhere. Just note, probability cannot be greater than 1 or 100%. Okay, that is a big. So examples, can you have 5 over 4? Can that be a probability? No, because that is 1.2, right? That fails. Can you have an answer of 1.12? No, because that is 112%. Right, that fails. So you can't have those 2 examples. That would not be acceptable. So anything bigger than 1 or bigger than 100% is not acceptable. I'm going to give that a color here. I consider this like an easy 1 marker, but they all add up, like the 1 markers add up, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on them if you know what we're talking about. It saves you a lot of time if you know how to answer this. Okay, I'm going to stop there.